So I don't know how long I'm going to go. I'm going to play it by ear, again, like a jazz musician.
Ralph Gatta has served two communities all of his life. The first community is Red Bank, the borough of his birth and the home of his family's business, Johnny's Jazz Market. The second community is the greater world of jazz, the American music genre born in the South in Mississippi speakeasies amid the Big Easy Blues. It was the world that adopted Gatta in his youth when he heard the cry of Charlie Schaefer's trumpet, the moan of a Dinah Washington verse, and the blues of the saxophone in Count Basie's swing band. And it's in a small community store on Shrewsbury Avenue where these worlds come together under the direction of Ralph Gatta, better known as Johnny Jazz. Johnny's Jazz Market is the neighborhood grocery store at 135 Shrewsbury Avenue that has served the community for nearly 60 years. From ham hocks to cheese for your macaroni, pork chops to pigtails, Johnny's Jazz Market has catered to the West Side community and its ever-evolving culinary tastes. In this building stands a bigger drawer. One more thing you get that's not on your grocery list: a free helping of jazz, Johnny's Jazz to be exact. A step through the door of Johnny's Jazz Market is a journey into Johnny's other community, the world of jazz, where you meet the Duke, acknowledge the Count, bow down to the Queen, and greet this jazz world's ambassador, Ralph Gatta. Gatta, a longtime fan of jazz, has preserved the world he once frequented on the walls of his store. The walls are Johnny's notebook with the names and quotes of jazz greats, notes on their births and death dates, serving as blackboards for the various customers who turn into students. In the background, Gatta plays music of his favorites, Miles Davis, Count Basie, Dinah Washington, and many others. Not only has Gatta heard these performers, but has met and talked with many when he was a young, hip contemporary, hanging out at the famous Birdland in New York, or Madonna's on Springwood Avenue in Asbury Park. The music has kept Gatta going through the 12-hour days he puts in running the store.
If it wasn't for the music, that kept me going. That kept me going. Yeah, because it's all together. Me, the way I talk like a jazz musician, I sure didn't practice that. I sure didn't practice this. I just was around these cats, man, and I stood hip, I guess. You know what I mean?
It begins in 1937 when the first son of Red Bank native John Gatta and his wife Helen welcomed Ralph, named after the baby's grandfather. The oldest of three sons, Ralph Gatta worked closely with his father, who took him one day to an event where he was first introduced to jazz. Later in life, Ralph would take the name of the market his father started.
The sound of the trumpet. That's what I heard when I was a kid. I loved the trumpet. For some reason, I just loved the trumpet, the sound of it. And my father used to go bowling with my Uncle Louie on Sundays. And I was the oldest son in the house. And my other two brothers were like babies, 2 or 3 years old, whatever. So the big son goes to the father, And at this bowling alley in Fairhaven, I heard this trumpet. Oh, I loved it so much, And it wasn't a jazz station, I guess, in those days. It was just, I never forgot the name. I must have been, I don't know, how old could I have been, 8 years old? You know what I mean? I never forgot the name, Charlie Schaefer's.
As Gatta matured, he straddled between his two communities. In Red Bank, he graduated high school and later served in the military before returning to work as a butcher at a local store. Later, he worked in his father's store, then called Johnny's Market. In the world of jazz, Gatta started honing his musical taste for the music genre's icons.
The feeling, the way they play with feeling. jazz is half feeling, as far as I'm concerned. If you're a great musician, to express the way you feel through that horn, man, forget about it. That's what jazz is about. You know Lou Donaldson told me? You got to suffer to play this kind of music.
Gaddis said he related to the musician's suffering through his own sacrifice of taking over the family business to continue to market service to the community.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would say I suffered, yes. 12, 13-hour days, building the business up, working, going back and forth, and the music is what kept me going, the music.
But suffering is in every part of jazz, even in the upbeat tempos of the Count Basie band.
It's in them. Even if they try to blow for dancing, you can feel the blues. Listen to Count Basie close. Listen to him close. He did more with the blues than anybody. Count Basie, when he's swinging, you listen to those horns. You can listen to them. The blues is coming right through them horns and they're swinging like mad. Basie did more with the blues than anybody I know with a big band.
It was the blues that Gaddis heard firsthand, seeing Lou Donaldson, Miles Davis, and Count Basie live. One of his most memorable encounters was with his favorite singer, the Queen of the Blues, Dinah Washington.
Must have been 1958 or 59, around there. Symphony Sid I used to listen to the station every night, 12 to 4 o'clock. I come back from Birdland, I would put on him 12 to 4 o'clock. I get out of Birdland about 2:30, put on Sid. So he would tell you where all the cats are appearing. He says Dinah Washington and Billy Taylor will be at Hank's Evergreen Club at a certain date. You know what I mean? So I jot it down. I'm going to go see my girl, I said, you know? And Hank's Evergreen Club, that was the name of it. Hank's Evergreen Club in Newark. And I went there and I saw her that night, and she was sitting at the bar. She had a break between 12 and 1 o'clock. She was sitting at the bar with her secretary, so I walked over to her and introduced myself. She was so nice, friendly. She said, sit down, she says. Sit down, and I said, let me buy you a drink, Dinah. She said, you don't have to give her a drink, you know. Anyway, we talked about different things, Symphony Sid, music. She thought I was a musician. She said, you got to blow something, she said. What do you blow, man? I said, Dinah, I don't blow anything. She said, come on now. She told me, you know, it made me feel so good, you know. And we talked about, again, this jockey, Symphony Sid, because Sid used to go off at times. He was a nut, you know. But that's the way she put it. He was a nut, but she loved him. Not really a nut. He was great. You know, he would say, yeah, he would say things like gone and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I talked to her about even Frank Sinatra. She says she was going to do an album on Frank. Not on Frank, on what Frank did. And she did an album, a couple songs Frank made. One of them was I Took a Trip on a Train and I Thought About You. Yeah, Dinah made that, and she told me she was going to do it. It came out about a year later.
Oh, she told you?
Yeah. It came out.
You that when you met her?
Yeah, it came out about a year later. And then we had a few drinks together and hors d'oeuvres. I stood with her about 45 minutes.
Wow.
She went on for the last set, maybe, not exactly 1 o'clock, maybe 1:15 until about 2:30, because I believe Newark was open about 3 o'clock in those days in the summer. You know?
Ralph's love for jazz also extended to the late, great Charlie Parker, who died when Ralph was still in high school.
I was interested in jazz big time by the 11th and 12th grade. You know, I knew Charlie Parker died, you know, in 1955 when I graduated. I don't think anybody in school knew that.
Really?
But Alfred's the only guy who else knew it. Maybe T-Bones, a guy by the name of T-Bones, he might have known.
But nobody else.
He had to be a musician. Yeah, nobody knew Charlie Parker died 1955. He died, I think it was March 12th, I think it was, 1955. Yeah, the bird was the greatest, man. Oh, I can listen. You know something? When you listen to Charlie Parker, man, it's like you never get it all. There's always something new every time you listen to him.
Because he was
Phenomenal.
he had a lot of stuff going on.
Oh, he was just he was the jazz musician, man, you know. And among others too, they're all great, you know. But they all looked up to Bird, you know. Bird changed the whole thing, man, and you know.
How did he change it?
Well, music, man, he made it more progressive. Oh yeah.
Tell me about that.
More daring, you know, all within the sense of jazz, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So explain it to me more daring.
Well, more daring, taking chances. You know, blow more and more like you feel, with expertise. You know what I mean? Just he's a master musician.
Ralph straddles his two worlds until the mid-1960s, when his father died and he took over the family's business. Soon, Gatta decided if he couldn't go to the music, he would bring the music to the store.
I would listen to music on the radio, and believe me, Gilda, I couldn't take it. How can you take that music on the radio, popular radio, after hearing all the great music I heard for the past 7 years in Birdland, the late 50s? I couldn't hear this guy sing, that guy. Awful stuff. Third grade music. Insult me. So I says, you know, I can't take this no longer. So before you know it, I bought a phonograph, you know what I mean? And I had a little wooden box speaker, and I was bringing my albums down here. You know, and I started playing Miles, I started playing Train, I started playing Maynard Ferguson, I started playing all the cats, man. Jackie McLean was a big man of mine, alto sax man. And before you know it, the people say, hey man, that's swinging music. They weren't even jazz fans. Maybe they're just glad to hear music. So what happened, I had after a few years of this, I had a guy, a customer of mine, put these beautiful speakers I got, Allegro. They don't make them like this anymore. They're all wooden. The acoustics are beautiful on them. That's why I get such a good sound. Oh. Yeah, beautiful. I got 2 of them here. And I still kept on playing my albums, and then later on tapes came out, and, you know, and I recorded off the radio and WKCR a lot of stuff too.
And from the music grew the writings, the obituaries and tributes hanging from the wall, and the names of the great jazz legends adorning the shelves. And from that grew another legend, that of Ralph Gatta, Mr. Johnny Jazz, whose preservation of the bebop jazz era has given new life to times that have gone by.
Well, jazz is what kept me going in life and kept me in this store. The music and the goodness of the people in the neighborhood.
Some friends and customers started appreciating the store and the newfound shopping music.
West Side, I'm a real West Sider. I'm proud of it too, believe me. I love Red Bank, the whole town, don't get me wrong. I love this town. But the West Side is something special to me, will always be. Because that's where I really got into the music.
And from the neighborhood, from those of us who came after you and grew up with you, we salute your service to your world of jazz, for your efforts in preserving the legacy of the great men and women of that era, and your world of Red Bank, in which you have dedicated so many hours and days toward your family business and its commitment to serving the community.
I'm going to play by ear, again, like a jazz musician. I play my whole life by ear, like a jazz musician.